All right, welcome back to the live stream. And sorry I missed Monday, but we had guests and a lot going on. So, you know how it is big family, a lot of stuff happening. So, anyway, um, so we're doing it Tuesday. F it, we're doing it live, right? Right now, I am painting I guess you would say, a substitute character. Is that what they call them? A proxy? Because if you make a heretic force, you're supposed to have like the leader who's some kind of evil priest. Well, I've got this STL of Pinhead, and I am painting him up to be the leader of the heretics because one, few people in the world know this, unless they've been on my channel for a while. I am a huge fan of the Hellraiser movies. Not so much the Netflix thing, because it was like, really, this is lame. But the Hellraiser movies were freaking, like, I watched Hellraiser, I think part 10 the other day, and I thought it was pretty darn good. Pretty darn good is what I would say. If it were 10, it was the one where basically they were dealing with the serial killer, and I don't want to give away the spoilers, but So this guy is painted up in a lot of gloss black and blood reds with inks to really show out the muscles and everything, because you all know Pinhead, he's basically got his whole chest ripped open and everything like that. I did his robes with warrior flesh from Army Painter, because it is like a nice kind of all the speed paint flesh colors, it's the one that looks the most like tan leather and still kind of has the human look to it, So that's kind of cool, I think, because you want your hell priest to look like he's wearing human skin, obviously. Now for his skin, I need to, do some undead, or just make something, really pale to do him up in, like maybe take some of the Crusader flesh and mix some water in it so that the, saturation is a little bit lower. Damn, I hate when it does that, right? When you're trying to get a drop of paint out and it just like, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So let's put like a couple drops of water in this to make it paler. And then if I have to, dry brush it or detail it up to make it even more pale, I can do that. That's not a big deal. But the point is, to have the Hell Knight ready to go. Really excited about another thing today is I had ordered like a couple of the Gale Force 9 barbed wire, and I've been waiting for it, and it has showed up. So awesome. That means I can start with the barbed wire emplacements. And so you see, I mean, this is very basic very basic stuff so far. But it's working out pretty darn good. Now I'll be giving him a wash and doing some detail and some highlights and stuff. But let's see here. For some reason, Gilded is constantly trying to log on, but it never does. Like that yellow gilded thing will just be there forever, just spinning and spinning and spinning. So we may be having the vampire game back. The guy who runs it has said that he is interested in maybe picking the game back up since he had to take a break to move and do a bunch of stuff like that. So we'll see. I mean, it just depends. Like, do people want to take a break from the vampire game to play another game, or are we willing to jump back into the vampire game? It could go a lot of ways. And me personally, I'm kind of in the middle. Like, it might be nice to play something else for a little while, but on the other hand, I really enjoy playing the vampire game. You know what I mean? Masquerade. I absolutely enjoy it. So it's not an easy choice for me. Got some stuff printing up. I found some World War I Cossacks. Now, for Glass Bear, who asked me what my hard on with the Russians was, this is for you, buddy. I found some World War I Cossacks. And they even have a Ushanka hat that you can put on them. So, yeah, there's getting ready to be a bunch of World War I Cossacks with Ushankas and pistols in one hand and cavalry sabers in the other hand, for the most part. I mean, one of them's going to definitely get a machine gun. Probably what was it called? A DK, whatever the Russians called it. And if I figure it out, I might figure out a way to put the Ushanka on top of the Russian gas masks so that some of them look like they're in gas masks. But then again, I mean, some of the heads that I've got printing have that classic Cossack hairstyle. So, bald except for that one bit of hair. And I might want to show that. Here's the barbed wire. And this is pretty easy. I just need to find something like this and give it a wrap and then figure out what I'm going to attach it to and tangle it back and forth. And oh yeah, it's the whole reason the bad guy team has the werewolves is when you look at the werewolves' mouths and you're all like, why are their mouths that way? Like they kind of flay open and there's like, it's because they're designed to destroy barbed wire so that the other forces can, run through the barbed wire. You got this giant possessed, mutated wolf thing running around ripping barbed wire up in no man's land, So that is the whole thing of that. So now that I've mixed this up, this stuff loves to tangle, don't it? I'm going to have to cut it off. Probably cut this into a couple of pieces, honestly. But that's okay. This stuff's pretty easy to work with. Set that right there on top of my sprues of Germans. And we've got, this bit of wire that I can now stretch between, uh, you know, a couple of sticks or whatever, and then put a couple of like straight bits here and there and like X's and whatever. And yeah, I dropped it. Like right now, I'm thinking I'll be running some barbed wire between these tank traps. I've got some Czech um, hedgehogs, and I'm thinking, hey, I'll run a bunch of barbed wire through there. That'll be cool, right? And it'll go on the table. And I believe barbed wire is like dangerous terrain, if I remember correctly. It's not like I've memorized the book, which is weird because I pretty much have memorized AD&D, But now I was watching a guy. I don't know what his religion is, but it was his opinion that this game does do things that are somewhat blasphemous. And there's somebody in the thing mentioning Jesus. They mention Jesus. Do they mention Jesus or do they mention Christ and the Metachrist? That's a question. So, dude, if you watched the video and you're the guy that made that post, hit me up. Let me know, and then we can have opinions about it. But my issue was that they changed Galatians, I think 17:6 to say Savior instead of Jesus, even though the scripture says Jesus. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if, changing scripture like that so blatantly is a great idea, because it's not really cool, just not super cool, bro. I feel like Matthew McConaughey'd be a lot cooler if you did, bro. But anyway, yeah, that was something I pointed out. I was like, why did you post this way instead of the real way? I mean, whatever, right? But anyway, I need to change this. Send a thing to my brother. We'll see if he jumps in. There's Letholdus, our resident ginger. We got to get him in here. He has changed his thing. Bloop. All right. Let's see here. Oh, damn it. Come on. Do I want?
Hello.
How you doing, Angry Elf?
Pretty well, weirdly right now. I tried to get my new hard drive in my computer.
Well, since you said tried, I'm feeling like things didn't work out.
No, they did not.
Is there a reason?
I'm not sure how to use the heatsink that it comes with. Tried to put it in without the heatsink. Realized I need a screw that is stuck in the heatsink, so I can't put it in.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah,
a
because I was going to say, I mean, back when I built computers, which was granted 10 years ago, that kind of shit was all plug and play.
It mostly still is, except for the NVMe drive where you have one screw to put in, but again, a very, very difficult screw, it seems.
Yeah, the other thing is a heat sink for your hard drive.
Yeah, the NVMe drives come with sometimes comes with heat sinks.
Interesting. Not something I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a 900 watt in my gaming computer, and it came with like a built-in fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It had its own fan and its own vent system and everything.
yeah. I mean, there's certain things that'll do that. If they run a little cooler, it usually runs a little bit better.
Right. So let me see.
Oh well, another really bad thing is the lot of dust.
A lot of dust in it.
Hmm
Yeah, it happens,
Needed
man.
to be cleaned out a little bit. So at least I've done
Especially
that.
you got little dogs around the house. Even though they don't go anywhere near the computer, they're still, floofing and
Yep.
whatnot.
Oh,
It's not their fault, but
not their fault, but yeah, it still happens.
yep. Well, I mean, you've seen my videos, so you know what I've been up to.
Yeah, you've been
Basically
talking.
arguing with people about Trench Crusade, trying to explain basic warfare to people like if the forces of hell in Jerusalem are making their fleets, that means in order for them to be a threat to Britannia, Ireland, Scotland, they have to break out through Gibraltar.
Yep.
But the good guy force would know they're building the fleets because they have airplanes and scouts and stuff and a space program. So they would have fortified every island in the Mediterranean. How you doing, Sachin? Which means when the demon fleet left Jerusalem, every time it got within 30 miles of an island, it would be getting bombarded by, not only coastal batteries, but land
Aircraft.
based fighter bombers.
Yep.
And as we all know from the Bismarck, it just takes one lucky hit with a freaking torpedo to be the end of the day.
Yeah, that is true.
So it's like, it wouldn't even be a matter of a fleet on fleet battle because the good guys would never even have to have a fleet. It would just be, oh, look, we've got, 16-inch guns mounted in coastal batteries and airstrips full of fighter bombers. There's a Finnish RPG. Neat. They
That's
never say the demons control Mexico and Trench Crusade, George. I say that. A really interesting system. Neat. I say that unless they've changed things, because knowing what we know about the Aztec Empire, I mean, it would obviously not be on the good guy team unless they go ahead and posit that the Spanish actually defeated and colonized
yeah.
that region. But if the Spaniards never show up to colonize that region, then the Mexican Empire, which is what the Aztecs called themselves, would 100% be on the side of the forces of hell.
And you wouldn't have Catholic Mexico.
Nope. It would be a demonic mezcali.
Although one of my games, I found a very interesting path that you can take as Argentina.
So,
If you
and of course, a Mexico, an Aztec empire, let's say, that had the support of hell behind it, would pretty much completely depends. The age of exploration, we would say maybe 1492, Christopher Columbus, right?
yeah,
But the Vikings were apparently over here way before that.
yeah, probably
And
from what I remember, what 1100s because
yeah,
they broke north
so
into
mm,
Greenland.
so there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, but a lot of it is just the game designers trying to be woke and anti-colonialist because in their system the UK doesn't exist because England never um, absorbed Wales or Scotland or Ireland at any time. And it's like, all right, but like my question is immediately, but why? Why did I mean,
I would give there if there was a history that I would to alternate on that. I would basically come up with a reason why they didn't or couldn't. More likely
and they
couldn't.
also have the map and where Russia should be, it's just blank. But they say that Finnish soldiers are using Molotov cocktails against snow demons. And I just hope to God that these aren't a bunch of your typical lefty pro Ukraine idiots
They
that are
pretty much
trying
sound like
to
they are.
cast the Russian Empire
If anything,
as, you know.
if there was no Soviet Union, why would they have why would they call the things Molotov cocktails then? Because there's a name behind
Right.
that.
And there wouldn't be a Soviet Union in 14 or in 1914.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are the Mongols? That see, I've actually wrote down the whole list of questions
Now,
and
to be fair,
posted
there
it.
could have been a different Molotov, I guess, because that is a surname. So
Yeah, it's his surname. And got no answers back. But I asked about all kinds of shit. I asked about the Mongols, the Pechenegs, the Huns, Rome. Where did Rome go? I guess it became the Holy Roman Empire. Okay, this is Ergorog in but on X. Yeah, so it's like comes from the Molotov Ribbentrop Pact. See, there you go.
yeah,
So it's like,
but the
even
Molotov
though I'm sure
Ribbentrop
the
Pact
things existed, because if I
came
remember
from a guy
correctly,
named Molotov, didn't it?
well, I mean, during the uprising, when basically the French communists were fighting against the government, they were using wine bottles full of uh,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
flammable liquid.
Vyacheslav Molotov. He's a Soviet politician, statesman, and diplomat.
Yeah, that's like I was talking to somebody over the weekend, and they're talking about basically the one-sided argument about national socialism is so much worse than communism, and I'm like, I think they're about equally bad, really.
They're
I
pretty
mean,
equally
what are
bad.
we going by? Are we going by
If you're going to go by
citizen
number of
rights? Are we going by
genocides or
kill
anything
count?
like that, communism would be far worse.
Right. But he didn't believe it because, he's university educated. So,
Yeah.
you know, and he was like, there's a huge difference between socialism and the Nazis. I'm like, no, there was
No,
not.
not really.
I mean, they called themselves socialists and they absolutely hated capitalism.
There were slight differences, like
Well,
the
there can be
certain.
slight differences in
Yeah,
things, you know.
their differences were more in the method than anything else.
Well, the thing is, because they were nationalist, that form of socialism is not supposed to be expansionary. because it's supposed to respect borders, whereas communism is a global ideology. So the
Yep.
point of communism is to spread it to everywhere. Hey, historical doppelganger, how you doing? In this game, Ireland and Scotland are independent nations from Britannia, which, again, like I said, but it seems like what you've got is an artist and a guy who made Mordheim. But what I've told them a couple of times is like, you guys should have wargamed this shit out. You should have had a map of the world made up. You should have said, okay, here's armies, maybe played diplomacy or something. I don't know. And started determining stuff. And like the defenders, because, like 40K, there's a lot of people that as soon as you say anything bad about something they like, even if you also like it, they come after you, right? Because you're not allowed to ever criticize stuff. And, they're like, well, the war started in 1099 and people just haven't been able to colonize stuff. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Because during World War I and World War II, that's where some of the greatest scientific explorations happened. Like the Germans were sending people to Tibet, to Antarctica, and every other place, and we were sending people all over the place. So no, pretending like, yeah, there can be no diplomacy. That's true. That's true. I mean, they'll try, but in the end, it's always going to work out bad for you. But so yeah, it's just like, and like I said, I watched a guy's video. I think he's a Protestant, like Baptist or something, but that doesn't mean I'm just going to disregard his opinions. And he was saying, in his view, there are parts of the game that are kind of blasphemous. Now, the only blasphemy I found, which I called him out on Twitter, the day before they fled to Blue Sky, I wonder, is they quoted a scripture from Galatians and they misquoted it. And I'm like, hold up here, buddies. And what's funny is the artist behind all the art graduated from a Protestant school. You know what I mean? I mean, like a Protestant theological university. This guy, he got his education at a Christian school. Doesn't make sense. One of those powers would become a dominant power in the Isles, or France or Spain would have taken over. Exactly. Again, that's why I said they should have wargamed. And also, if the demons built a huge fleet in Jerusalem, then the good guys who would have known they were doing it would have fortified every island in the Mediterranean and every coastal city with coastal batteries and land-based torpedo bombers and shit like that. Is the Antichrist in the game? No. The demons from hell are not allowed to actually leave hell. So the things that you fight as bad guys are basically other humans or possessed or corrupted animals. And to be brutally honest, if you read the army list for the Muslims, their shit is as bad as the forces of hell. Like brazen bulls and the lions of Jabbar. Because apparently in the game, the Muslims are super hardcore into alchemy. And they're literally like creating homunculi and just doing all kinds of crazy shit.
Sounds like they're more of an offshoot of the forces of hell.
So yeah, it's like somebody made a thing where like these trench crusaders were like fighting and they're kind of getting their asses whipped. And one guy's like, why haven't we called heaven and asked for help? And their guy's like, can we do that? And the castigator, which is a kind of a priest, is like, yeah, I got the number. And they call heaven, and like St. Peter answers. He's like, how can I help you? And they're all like, we need help. And they're like, well, do you want us to just destroy a specific demon, or are you looking for the end times? And they're like, we'll take option 2. And so St. Peter's like, well, okay then, right? And so then all of a sudden, the Christian calls the, oh, that's freaking Call of Cthulhu shit right there. The Christian calls the Muslims in their city, and he's like, look, Christ is coming, convert now or else. And they laugh. They're like, ha, ha, ha. And then you hear the trumpet, you know, and the Muslims are like, oh, shit. And then one of the heretics is talking to one of the higher level heretics, and he's like, I think that the second coming is happening. And the demon's like, that's not possible. And all of a sudden you just see all hell blow up, you know, because, you know, Jesus showed up and just put an end to all that shit. No, they can go pretty much anywhere. The problem is if their only harbor is Jerusalem, there's no way they're getting out of the Mediterranean. However, if the Aztec Empire is also part of the forces of hell, then they could be building God only knows what in the New World, you know. So that's the thing. But the thing is, the lore hasn't quite gotten there yet. And, you know, I mean, the game is not very ambiguous. You know who the bad guys are. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's like, yep, the dudes with all the pointy horns and shit, those are definitely the bad guys. But they kind of try to make some of the stuff the Christian forces is doing seem bad. But, you know, it's like you can tell these guys were involved with 40K, you know, where they're trying to make it where, well, no one's really totally good. But it's like, these are Christian warriors fighting against literally the
forces of hell.
So, yes, there's some people who are totally good and some people who are totally
evil,
not good, you know. Oh, it would be great not only for alternative history novels. I think it would make a really cool role-playing game.
Yeah.
Like having players play as trench pilgrims or the forces of New Antioch, or how are you doing this? Or if you want to get really crazy, they could be like, I don't know, a Vatican strike team.
That's not this. Yeah,
I have a build plate done up, but I don't know if I'm going to build it or not. But it's Swiss Guard.
Swiss Guard. Ooh.
Yeah, Swiss Guard. And a lot of them have the halberds, but I figured I'd give a lot of them, you know, submachine guns and automatic rifles, and maybe a Lewis gun or two, you know, or whatever the Italians were using at the time, and just really do them up with the purple and the orange and everything, and the shiny breastplate, and then that would be what they call in the game a Vatican rapid response team.
I would want to do Caroleans.
I don't think they exist because the Holy Roman Empire is still thin. So they would be your kind of Caroleans. You know what I mean? If you're talking about you said Caroleans. I'm sorry. I heard Carolingians.
No, Caroleans, the Swedish pikemen.
Okay. Yeah, I heard Carolingian, which would be like Charles Martel and, you know, the Franks.
Nope.
But so, I mean, the lore is not horrible. They just need to work on it to make it make a little bit more sense. Because right now,
Cossacks would be kind of cool too.
Who?
The Cossacks?
Yeah, I have the stuff to make an entire Cossack army. Um, it's just they wouldn't be the way I would equip them. I would make them into trench pilgrims, so they wouldn't get all the good equipment that the forces of New Antioch get. But I have a bunch of sprues of Russian World War One soldiers, so I'd be able to give them Mosin Nagants. And the build plate, the 3D print build plate already has like their sabers and stuff like that. And also, I chose the body that's really fancy, the one that would be with the red coat and uh, all of the buttons. They had the more simple body too. Um, and yeah, just go with it. You know what I mean?
Horses with gas masks.
That is a thing. Actually, they do have an STL. I own it, but I have never printed it, and it's literally trench ponies with gas masks.
Mm-mm-mm.
Because apparently they use ponies to transport ammo around the trenches. So
Talking about Cossacks there. The Cossack lullaby.
right. My favorite is the Cossacks' response to the Ottoman emperor, where they call him the son of the devil and tell him he eats poop, and that if he wants their shit, come and get it. You know, it's a pretty rough letter, man. And they're definitely 100% that way about it too. They're like, come and get it. You are the son of the devil and a poop eater. And it's like, wait, what? Damn, that's insulting. I mean, son of the devil, yeah, that's bad. Not a good look, but you eat poop. It's like, who came up with that? It's like the Cossack chiefs, like, which one of you guys did this? Right.
He deserves
So
a
anyway,
raise.
homies, I'm gonna actually put a rust wash on this on the wire itself, but there is your, tank traps covered in barbed wire. And I'll make up quite a few of them since I've got like 12 tank traps.
Oof.
So I'll make up a bunch of these um, to go with it. And
Hell, that dust. Not good for your allergies.
oh, you got a lot of dust.
Oh, from that computer, yeah.
Oh, but yeah, George, they got an STL on my mini factory, and it's got like Cossacks World War One, and then it's got like variants of them, and it's got all the variant heads too. So if you want your Cossacks with like Ushankas, you can do that. If you want them with the hats with the feather, you can do that. If you want them with just their bare head with the ponytail hanging down, you can do that. But for Trench Crusade, if you equip them, I mean, they don't have a lot of armor or anything on them. So they're, in my opinion, they would definitely be like Trench Pilgrims. Whereas the Swiss Guard, those guys are armored like just freaking breastplates and big helmets. And,
Yeah, if I was going to go with the cavalry, I think I'd go with the winged hussars anyway.
yeah, here's the thing, and I'm sure it'll come at some point, but they have not yet, even though I think they've kind of spoiled or previewed a miniature of someone on a horse. They have not yet released any rules for that. And the other thing they haven't released rules for, which I understand this is supposed to be a skirmish game, but they have not released rules for tanks at all. except in the Ghost Legion of the Heretic Forces.
Hmm.
In the Ghost Legion of the Heretic Forces, you can take the leader of your legion and put him in a palanquin, which they then go on to refer to as a tank from then on out. And it just gives him like the toughness ability and some other abilities, right? Now the Ghost Legion, which I think I've showed off, is they're basically the guys that die in the trench, and for whatever reason, because they were part of the forces of hell, they can't go to heaven, but at the same time, they can't go to hell.
Now that would be kind of cool, actually, because when I think about it, winged hussars just give them the big wings on the back, and then
Yeah, a bunch
like
of
have them have like,
horsemen with like freaking wings.
and then have them like with SMGs for the more modernization. They just run up, fire their SMGs, run back.
Give them Polish sabers and like freaking automatic pistols. Pow, pow, pow.
Yeah.
Like the Mauser is, I think, a good guy gun because it's made in the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah.
But that was one of the points when I was making points of things they did that didn't make any sense. All of the official heretic forces are wearing style helms, which makes no sense since the Holy Roman Empire is actually the good guys. So why are the bad guys wearing German helmets when that helmet was used by the Germans and the Finns, if Sacha's still hanging around, going way back, that helmet was used.
Mm.
It wasn't like it was an invention just for World War One. They'd been using it for a while. So, but anyway, where's my blood red ink so I can make my Hell Priest look even more bleh. There it is. And like I said, it's pinhead, so I'm going to have to get silver and carefully go through and horses with gas masks. That's for that's for your Krieg army. And I'll tell you something interesting about that. At least one of my trench pilgrims started out as a Krieg soldier that I had extra. The Sultan's letter had all of this elaborate yeah. And they just replied with a slew of insults. Yeah, it was pretty rough, man. They're just like, yeah, come get it.
That's what I do.
And they're like, yeah, we're not having it. Sorry. I mean, thanks for the letter, but get bent, buddy. We're not doing all that. So, but yeah, the Cossack figures I have that I'm probably going to print out, they're Don Cossacks. So that would be the part of Russia that is currently the Donbass region. So, but as I've said, man, you could buy any World War One historic model kit you wanted to. And with a little bit of imagination or a friend with a 3D printer or hitting up Etsy or whatever you got to do, you could make an army dirt cheap, especially compared to
Fonzie's actually go back a little bit and probably get something from like the Holy Roman Empire to that time.
Well, here's the thing: is like some of the armies are straight up wearing plate armor, covered in like crosses and stuff,
Yeah.
and wielding two-handed swords. So they're not even like worried about guns. They're just like, and if you're a big fan of pickle helms, so that the German style helmet that had the spike on it,
Yeah, I know
you
what
can
you're
always play the Prussian Free State.
They had that in King of the Hill.
Yeah, that's part of the Prussian Free States uh, outfit, and their whole deal is they're trench raiders. So that's the thing is each faction has multiple types of armies you can play. Like if you choose to play trench pilgrims, depending on the saint that you decide you want to follow, that can determine um, how your army plays. So since my guys are all Russian and they're following mostly Saint Olga, they carry a lot of flamethrowers because Saint Olga, burn up a city. Why did Dr. McCoy in Star Trek scream murderous Cossacks when I got that mega drug dose? I don't know. I don't know.
This sounds fun, and is giving me ideas for my tabletop character I'm gonna get to play soon.
Well, and that's why I keep saying, I mean, a war game is good, but I think really they should have somebody working on a role playing game.
Yeah.
And they should definitely have people.
When he got that mega dose, the drug dose.
Oh, I don't know. It depends who gave him the dose. Maybe they were Cossacks,
Or he was very high.
or they were Russians, and he was just like
I think he was.
assuming.
I think what it was is in the episode, he was like hallucinating or something like that because of the drug.
That is so weird though, because it's like of all the things for like a Scottish or well, okay, a country doctor from wherever the hell he's from to start hallucinating about.
I know it's weird.
It's like Cossacks? Really? That's the thing, huh? All right. All right. I mean, I'm not judging.
Although this is my thought on it. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, he does take a lot of drugs, doesn't he? So who knows? He might
Who
be immune to it
knows?
by now.
Well, the argument is he even him?
He even help, huh?
Well, it's because every time they go through the teleporter, they're taken apart to an atomic level, then sent through space and reassembled.
Yeah.
So the teleporter where they leave from literally kills them.
It just
And
makes a
then
new
when they
version of
get to the other side, it just makes a synthetic version of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, this
So
whole
wait a
thing
minute.
sucks.
Does that mean that whenever the transporter failed to transport, what was his name? From the next generation, I forgot what his name was. The
And
one
they
that was
lost
number
him.
2. They kind of lost him, but not really, because it made like a clone of him. The
Right.
transporter did.
Yeah, that's
There was 2 of them.
basically what the transporter is basically doing is it's taking the computer information about you and making a clone.
Mm-mm.
Because you are dead. You died when it took you apart. Which is why in the original series, Scotty was always like
Nope.
not super happy about transporting anywhere. He was always like super not wanting to be a part of that bullshit. But
I wouldn't
he
blame
had
him.
to because he's part of the show and they expect him to show up. Even though, let's be honest, I mean, let's make an away team and let's send the captain of the ship, the head surgeon, and the head science officer. It really seems like those guys would have assistants that they would actually send and let those guys stay back wherever the hell
Or
they
not
were.
just assistants, but probably a crew that would be sent down. Specifically because it might be dangerous.
Well, I mean, you're going to send security, obviously, but I'm saying you would think there would be like an assistant science officer and an
More like,
assistant.
I would think that you would call them more like field explorers, like field scientists, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Mm-mm-mm.
I mean, you're like, I don't know what you're doing to me. You're yeah. You would have the guy who was like second or third down the line from Bones,
Yeah.
and he would be basically like a field medic, and his job would be to go down to see what's going on. And the science officers, there'd be like an assistant science officer, and his job would be to go down and see what in the hell is going on. It's like, but I mean, it made it more exciting getting to see Kirk like double fist punch Gorns and shit. I mean, that was cool. Can't argue that. That was pretty cool.
Don't think Scotty character was a World War II veteran. That'd be weird.
What?
It's a historical doppelganger was saying that historically he was a World War II veteran. I think he served with the commandos and still had shrapnel on his body. But Scotty from Star Trek isn't Star Trek well past World War II era type of stuff?
Yeah, but Scotty was old in the 60s. And that would only have been 20
if he's
years.
talking about the actual actor, okay, that makes more sense then. I was thinking
he's
he was
about
talking
the guy
about
who played Scotty
character.
was a World War II guy.
Okay, it makes more sense. I was thinking of the character, not the actor. That's
Yeah,
okay.
you had me confused because I was like, how are you missing this point? I was like, this is like the easiest point that has been said so far.
But was that Scotty's name? I thought the actor's name was different than Scotty.
The actor's name is different, but historical
Okay.
doppelganger just said Scotty because I mean we're not,
I guess
we're
people
talking
know his name.
colloquially here, right?
Okay,
I
fair.
forget the actor's name. I'd have to look it up.
I'm
The only
bad
one
with
I
names,
remember
so
is
that's fair.
Nimoy and Shatner. I don't even remember Uhura's name, and she's in all of the Deadpool movies. So, it is what it is.
Fair. It was confusing me. I don't know.
And you in turn confused the shit out of me because I was like, what? What is going on here? No, Scotty was not in World War II in the Star Trek, Actually, he kind of was, though, because there's that one time they go down to that planet. And like the whole culture of the planet is like based on World
Nazi
War II
Germany.
Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the airtime they
Didn't
go
they
down
do
to
that multiple times, actually?
Well, yeah, but the other planet, the whole thing was communists versus Americans. The Coms versus the Yangs.
Okay.
And the Klingons were like given the Coms advanced weaponry and shit, which is against the rules. You dastardly Klingons.
To be fair, not their rules because they have different rules than the Federation.
Yeah, that's true. So,
in fact, I'm pretty sure the way they got their technology was killing the people who gave it to them.
plus, that was back when they still had the Klingons that just looked like, I don't know, dudes with Fu Manchus.
Yeah.
It was like, this guy doesn't really look very alien. He just kind of looks like maybe a Persian with a Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
Forrest D. Kelly or something like that.
That's McCoy that you're talking about there.
That's McCoy. Forrest D. Kelly.
But Scotty, I cannot remember the actor's name at all.
No. But Scotty was never really a major part of anything. It was like he showed up, he did some stuff, but he was always like
I can always remember George
secondary or
Decay, but
tertiary character at best.
Decay is also a weird person, not just.
Right. I mean,
Mm.
the big three was Scotty, Spock, and Kirk. That was the big three. And it worked because it was like Kirk was the guy in the middle, and he had his buddy who was all about pure logic, and then he had his other buddy who was all about intuition. And they would both give him advice on shit, and then he would decide which one to listen to. And it changed from one time to the next. And that's one of the reasons the new Star Trek failed so hard, is because they started trying to make Uhura part of that dynamic, and it didn't work. It did not work. She needed to stay her ass at the communications.
James Doohan was Scotty.
James Doohan. I do know that his son in real life was in Star Trek Continues playing him. Like the made for YouTube Star Trek Continues. Yeah. Doohan's
Hey, one thing I
son
did
in it.
like about like DS9 was that they actually came up with a kind of a reason why the Klingons kind of looked the way they did back then.
Yeah, they were infiltrators, right?
Now, what it was actually sometime in the past there was this one time where they tried to meddle with like the Klingon DNA using this like the human, what you call it, improvement type of DNA that they tried to do, and it made them look more human.
Right.
And that's
As
just
it
kind of like,
would. As it would.
yeah, and that's just like, oh yeah, we don't like talking about that.
Yeah, right. Like, that's considered rude to bring up in company, you know. Like,
It's not that it was rude. It was just like, yeah, that was a big mistake. We will not make that one again.
what's hilarious is like STD has been declared non-canonical.
Oh, Discovery, yeah, don't care. I
So
didn't care for
Captain
Discovery.
Michael and all that bullshit, that is non-canonical Star Trek. It's as if it didn't happen. Our good friend Raven posted on one of my videos where I said, let's retake Constantinople. And he's like, it's actually the Holy Mosque. And I'm like, why would you post that?
Why would you post that?
You know, it's like, I mean, are you trying to get my goat? I mean, that is a stupid post. And then he posted back and he's like, well, that is its name. I was like, no. I disbelieve.
For sure, it was named after Constantine.
Well, the Hagia Sophia it's Greek for the house of wisdom.
Yeah. But I'm talking about whenever it was called Constantinople.
Yeah, it was Constantine. And there was part of the city that was called Istanbul from the get-go.
True.
I found these results.
Did you hear my phone? I
Yeah.
didn't even ask the phone to look for anything, and it's being all like, I found results.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, don't do that.
I don't like phones nowadays. I wish they were more like the old ones, you know? Just let me call somebody and that's it.
Dark, swarthy Asians. I liked Voyager.
I'm not a
I'm
fan.
one of the, I guess, unique people out there that thought Voyager wasn't bad.
You and Aunt Tammy. My Aunt Tammy, she likes Voyager a lot. That's her favorite. I don't get why myself. I found it a little too goofy. There's some good parts of it, but I also really hated Neelix. So, no thanks.
Maybe she just really liked Bakula or whatever his name was. The captain.
Bakula wasn't Voyager. That was Janeway.
Oh yeah, Janeway. Yeah. I remember all the jokes people used to tell about You know, give a woman a starship and she gets so freaking lost, it'll take her a billion years to get back home.
You know, Cisco wouldn't have had that much issue.
Yeah,
Cisco,
Cisco wouldn't have got lost.
he would have just been like, okay, we're just going to go back, use a timed explosive to blow it up after we're done with it.
Right?
Be like, there, done.
And he'd been like, this guy over here that says he wants to be the cook.
Also, I gotta say, I
When
feel
he's not
really,
paying attention, throw him out of an airlock.
yeah,
That would have been Cisco.
yeah.
He'd been, I'm not taking any shit.
I also gotta say, poor dumb Harry. You know, the real life actor actually went to the Kate Mulgrew to ask for a promotion on the series in the
Nope.
show.
Nope.
It's gotta be the most sad thing ever. It's like, can I get a promotion? It's like, how is that her decision?
It's like, yeah, sure.
It's just like, I'll think about it. And then it's like, wait a minute, did I just go?
Like, you're promoted. I'm gonna make you the #1 guy, actually. Congratulations. And then
I
be
have
all
nothing
like,
against any of the actors in that. I think most of its issues were writing. Just like terrible
yeah.
writing.
I think the main reason Voyager has even half the popularity it does have is thirsty Trekkies like freaking out over 6 of 9 or whatever.
7 of 9. I don't know. I think there were plenty of fans of the Doctor, who was usually good.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I only know this because the people I talk to, the first thing they mention if you mention Voyager is
7 of 9. Well, I just feel like talking about how I really hate Neelix. That'd be my first
and
thing.
the first thing you talk about is how much you hate Neelix.
I hate Neelix.
I hate Neelix, that motherfucker.
He was so annoying and terrible, and his antics nearly destroyed the trip multiple times.
Yeah. The best Star Trek that's been made in the last 20 years is probably The Orville.
I didn't watch that.
Well, that's too bad because it was actually really good.
Fair. I just stuck with like Deep Space Nine.
It was campy, but it was still serious when it needed to be. It was kind of preachy, but it knew when to draw it back, you know?
Fair.
So that it didn't just alienate everybody.
Be fair, I think I've seen some scenes and they were kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's at least that.
It had Norm Macdonald in it.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald was in it, and I think he was kind of funny in it.
Yeah, he played like a big blob.
Yep. I seen the scene where he was like looking for part of himself.
Yeah, somebody had cut a part of him off, and then one of the other idiots had ate it.
Yeah.
And like, it wasn't that he desperately needed the part, but he knew it was gone, and it was.
Yeah. All I'm saying is I really hate the character, not the actor. Anything I say about these, it's mostly the, I think, character of these people. Like, they made Tom Paris. Tom Paris was basically just a savant of everything. Like, literally, Tom Paris could just do anything.
I have to be honest, I never watched a lot of Voyager.
That's fair. Voyager, I think, was one of the weaker ones. Right up there with Enterprise. As much as I like Bakula. What?
I liked Enterprise.
As much as I like Bakula, I could still say that series just had so many problems.
Yeah, bad writing because, like I've told you, everyone has forgotten how to write a good movie since like the 70s.
Kind of, yeah.
At some point in the 70s, it's like everyone just forgot how to write anything.
I do think there's some good stuff in the 90s. I can remember things like Big Fat Liar being fun to watch. But Tim Allen stuff was really good.
What was that?
It was a movie.
Yeah, but
Basically, a kid that they had Frankie Muniz act as made a story for his school, and a movie exec stole it, and
oh, okay.
it's like they kind of made him go through the movie. They get him to actually finally confess that he stole the story from him.
Yeah, I know it. I seen it on one of my streaming services was trying to get me to watch it.
Hmm.
I didn't, but they were trying.
Yeah. At least they were doing something that's, I'd say, pretty good. Because I like that one.
Instead, I ended up watching Event Horizon for like the 100th time.
And then there's that weird space movie with like Adam Sandler in it.
Oh, with the spider? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty wild. That was a pretty wild movie, I will be honest.
You actually kind of liked it. No, not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
It didn't bother me because I like spiders, and that was one of my favorite kind of spiders, even.
Fair.
I mean, the
I'm okay
thing,
with spiders too.
I don't know if like that's what it looked like naturally or not, but I mean, in the show, it was a big ass jumping spider, and jumping spiders are literally my favorite spiders.
Aren't those usually like very tiny, and you can actually have them crawl around on you, and they're just like,
Yeah, jumping spiders are awesome. There are some down here and in other parts of the southeast that can get up to an inch long.
Hmm.
But they're completely non-aggressive. That
It's kind of
usually
hard.
you'll never see them unless you actually know what you're looking for,
Yeah,
because they'll be like, "Yeah, I'm out."
they're kind of shy little spiders.
Yeah, they're just doing their thing, man. They ain't got time for that bullshit. They're like, if this big ape sees me, he might want to kill me or something, and I ain't down with that shit. So I'll just lay low, hang out. Eventually he'll leave, and then I'll come out again.
Dean Stockwell as his first officer. See, but if you were going to do that, instead of making it a historical piece, maybe you should have went to the future and have them do time stuff.
That actually, no, you don't need to do any lame ass time stuff. But it would have been a nice nod to the one show if they had done that, though.
Well, I was just thinking about it because of Quantum Leap. Have them be part of like the temporal,
Me
like
too.
the temporal federation to combat temporal issues.
Yeah, I was thinking Quantum Leap too. I was just thinking doing it in a bit more of a less
Direct way, I guess.
right, and you don't have to have time travel. You just
Yeah, fair.
have the guy being all like there. That would have been fun, It'd been like, these guys were in Quantum Leap. That's kind of cool. But they
Quantum Leap
missed
was a
that
good show.
opportunity, I guess.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's very rare for anything good to be written past 2000, really.
And I mostly think that Deep Space Nine did really good. Usually.
Most people like Deep Space Nine.
Although people say that it's more of a ripoff of, what was it, Babylon 5?
Well, because the people who wrote Babylon 5 originally tried to pitch it as a Star Wars or Star Trek thing, and they were told no. So then they found another studio to put it out, and then Star Trek saw it and was like, "Oh shit!" and they made Deep Space Nine. So yeah, it was like, the people at whoever owned Star Trek being idiots. But I don't know why anybody would be freaking surprised, Oh man. Mm-mm-mm. Played a lot of games this weekend.
I'm about to have my first session of my new game where I'm gonna get to play that gnome inventor.
No, we didn't play any role playing games though. We just played like
Board games.
yeah, we played
That's fair.
Azul. We played Scythe with all the expansions because that's what I got from my niece for Christmases.
Maybe I should buy some friends and get them into Red Dragon Inn.
Right, buy some friends.
I didn't say buy. I said get some friends.
Oh, well. Buy some friends.
Mm.
Be like, there was a time when you could have bought some friends to play games with you.
They'll just find.
He's had to ruin that.
I'll just find 3 prostitutes, pay them to play a game with me.
What was that on? Family Guy or something where the one guy's like, hey, man, I can't help but notice your lawn's getting awful overgrown. And the other guy's like, ha, 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 yeah, I used to have a guy for that. And he goes in and slams the door. And it's like they're referencing the Civil War. Because I guess the guy used to have a slave that did all his lawn work.
Hey, Pablo. Jose Pablo.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to play a gnome. Gnomes are the best. I like gnomes way more than any of the other short races. All the other short races, I think, suck. Gnomes, on the other hand, cool.
I have ideas about making super magical tech, I guess you could say.
Oh, I would kill your character right away, though. Just because. I know.
No.
I already know you'd be up to some bullshit.
Look, I just want to make magical trains so we could get places faster.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you play frickin' ACK and play a dwarf frickin' machinist or whatever?
I don't have people who play ACK.
Get them into it. It's not hard. It's a good game. Good system, easy. And the dwarf mechanic or whatever it's called, machinist or whatever, can literally at like level 3 make a helicopter.
Fair.
Gnomes are OP in 5e. Well,
hey, Jose's in backstage.
I see that. I'm grabbing my mouse. Then I guess that's something I could say good about 5e.
See, James, I'm having to play the long game because I can't just make helicopters at, well, 3rd level.
You can play a gnome that's like super like ideological in some way, and then like at level 3 make a helicopter, and people who disagree with your ideology, you take them up in the helicopter and throw them off like over the mountain.
Hey, Jose.
From like 1,000 feet. Yeah, how you doing today, buddy?
How are you? I'm fine here.
Good. I am painting World War who knows what tanks. Like this is American tank. It's an M14, but we all know this is just a French Renault.
That's an FT.
But I put a big cross on it and a page for scripture because it's going to be
I'm
for
sure America never had a tank like that looked like that, really.
Huh?
I don't remember an American tank looking like that.
That's the American version of the Renault. They are pretty much identical.
I always remember seeing like, I think it was like the M3s or something like that.
And this is the German Lichtenstadt tractor comp something other.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking. But yeah, the M3 Lee. Maybe it was the M2 I was thinking of. Yeah, the M2's mainly what I think of as American.
Well, this is the interwar period. So between World War One and Two,
Yeah, I forgot
the
about
Americans bought a ton of French Renault tanks and renamed them with American nomenclature
that.
uh, so that they could actually figure out tank warfare. You know,
Fair.
there's also a, you know how what you got there? Oh, a long tom. There's also a what's it called?
That's cool.
Spelltech.
A British land tank. You know how the British tanks are basically giant land boats.
Yeah.
Well, there's one that's American
Hmm.
because the U.S. just took the British design and
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see. So the M1917 light tank.
yeah,
It is, yeah, pretty much just a Renault.
it's just a Renault and it's
And then
mounted.
the Ford 3-ton kind of looks like a weird version of what the Brits were doing.
Yeah. Well, because the Renault was a game changer because it was like the layout that everyone realized was going to be
Yeah,
the
that.
tank. You know, because like the Germans had that big frickin' tank they were using. It looks like a barn. Was that like a control? Yeah, control place.
It
Control
is
truck.
an mobile HQ.
Yeah.
M1 combat
So,
car, then the M2 light tank.
yep. I know when you start playing World of Tanks, Tier 1, you're playing like, if you play the German side, this is the tank you play. If you play the American side, you play like the M3 or something like that. Basically, just a giant box.
War Thunder doesn't start with the interwar stuff. It just gives you, I guess you could say, basically the start of World War II.
Yeah, World of War Tanks or World of Tanks. Oh, LRM or SRM launcher. Not what you want to see if you're roaming about. If you're in a city and you turn the corner and there's an SRM launcher there, it's going to be bad.
Ooh, the M3A3 Stuart.
Like, yeah. Yeah, but the Stuart, that was the scout tank for World War II. And also, we exported it to basically everyone that would take it. Like, Russians use Stuarts, the British use Stuarts, everyone used Stuarts. But then after the war, actually, I think it was Vietnam. What kind of tank is that? Minotaur?
I think it is a Manticore.
A Manticar. Okay, yeah. The last light tanks were like Vietnam.
And then there was my favorite, the M4 Sherman.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's a medium tank.
Yeah. But for War Thunder, it was probably my best tank. I was able to get 9 kills in one before.
A vedette tank.
That looks like a harasser or something like that.
It's called vedette.
He's got all of his vehicles in finally.
In fact,
so now I
War
need.
Thunder, I'm gonna say this, but the M4 I think is a better tank than the Tigers were.
Oh, the M4 is the best tank of World War II.
No, but in War Thunder, I was able to usually easily handle most Tigers. And
Well, the problem with the Tiger tank is slow. Their turret rotation is like a joke. It's like, you're waiting there for 20 minutes while that turret's cranking around. I mean, the good thing is if it's in a good position and it catches you coming down the road, it's going to whack you. You're done. Before you even see it or get in range of it, you are dead. The bad thing is, transmission breaks down about every 5 miles. The max speed of the thing was like, 16 miles an hour or some shit. I mean, there
luck
were a
some
lot of
tanks I play.
problems.
Because let's just say this: the T-82 for the super heavy that the American made.
Oh, yeah, the giant turtle tank.
Yeah, that thing got like I think 5 miles per
Yeah,
hour.
at some point we realized that maneuverability was like a major issue that had to be
Yeah.
taken into account.
And then there's the mouse, which I got that thing up to like 6 miles an hour.
That the mouse is pure desperation.
Yes.
It really is like delusion. To even think they could build that was just delusional. It's like,
Well, they were able to build 2.
no, they were able to kind of build parts of 2. Oh, nice. A warrior?
Yes, a warrior.
Looks
Yes.
like a warrior.
It is.
Yeah. I don't think they ever built a functioning one, Left.
I think they kind of functioned
I
a
think
little bit.
they built a couple of holes, but
Yeah.
they weren't really able to do much about it.
Some prototypes, but yeah.
Because
Right now they got only one in existence, and which is in the museum in Russia.
oh yeah, I know what that is. What's it called? That's a heavy tank too. Oh, is that a demolisher too?
Let me check.
Oh, shoot. The allergies getting the better of me. I think I gotta go. I'll see you.
All right, man.
We have the behemoth, the ontos. One of them is
Well, the
behemoth.
one was the Ontos. The one that is like, that's a heavy tank. What is it? That's an Ontos.
This
That's
one?
an Ontos.
That's an ontos.
Yeah.
And the behemoth is this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If depending on what the loadout is, a lot of times they would be loaded out with like a pair of AC-20s.
Oof.
So
That
you know.
hurts. That hurts.
Yeah, I mean, if you let one of those things run up on you or ambush you from behind a hill or something, yeah, you're going to be ruining the day. Okay, that's a new vehicle. I don't know what that is.
Skulker.
Huh. Some kind of scout vehicle?
I think it is a light tank or something. Or let me see. It's a scout tank. Yes, wheeled scout tank.
Yeah. I kind of felt like that's what it was, but wasn't sure.
And all those are mechs.
Yeah, I see that. You've definitely went hard into your
Into the hobby.
Biotech collection for sure, man. Well, I mean, it's good that you love it that much. I mean, it is a great game, so I mean, yeah, I can't talk any smack. The last time I laid all my mechs out and counted them, I had almost 800. I
No, I
should
don't.
sell all
I
of the
don't have
really
that.
old ones.
I don't have that many.
Like
It
if
looks
I were
big.
smart, I would sell all my old Ralph Parthemex, because sometimes you can see them on like, especially like Marauders, the old Ralph Partha Marauders. You can see them on eBay for like $60, and I've got like 5 of them. So it's like,
Hmm.
I mean, if some, oh, but I've got another mech to talk to you about. Found it the other day and reminded me of you, the Grasshopper. Yeah, this is a heavy mech that is
Hmm.
designed to squash everything.
Hmm.
One variant just has like 8 medium lasers
I
and enough heat
remember.
sinks to fire it.
I remember one novel where one of those saved Kurita.
Yeah, they are exactly that way. They
They jumped from a dropship that was falling on fire,
mhm.
and they jumped, and Kurita was in the back of the cabin, and he was saved. Somebody was
They
piloting.
are 60 or 65 tonners. They can jump. They're fast. Their armor is pretty good, and their offensive capability is insane. It's just like, and what makes them extra insane is that if you're playing against an opponent that likes to field a lot of light mechs to harass you, like Jenners and shit, that thing can deal with them. Because, it has the mobility to get across the table and make them rue the day. There he is. Yep, that guy will make them rue the day they even decided to be mech pilots. A lot of people don't care for it because of the name, and it's kind of weird looking, but it really is one of the best mech designs in the game. For real and for true. Sent my brother a link to join me, but he has not done so. But in my homebrew setting, George, I didn't even allow halflings. They were not even an option. So if you wanted to play a short character, you had to play a gnome. And the reason was because, in my opinion, halflings, let's be honest, they don't exist in mythology. That is something that J.R.R. Tolkien invented for his setting. You know, but gnomes exist in like pretty much every European setting. I mean, of course, in Slavic setting, gnomes, will curse and kill you, but they're still there. Whereas gnomes in like Western European settings, yep, that's an Orion, right?
That's the old one,
That's
and
yeah,
this is the new one.
yeah. The new one's way better, but yeah, gnomes are in all European mythology. They're especially for some reason really big with the fins. Or is that trolls? Those little white things that Finnish people were always making cartoons about. Maybe they're trolls. And of course, you got David the gnome and Nomeo and Juliet. But in some stories, gnomes or knockers would be in the mines. And if there was going to be a cave in, depending on if the miners had been nice to them or not. Yeah, clan garbage. Daishi. And an urban mech, though.
An urban, so you can compare. So you can compare the sizes.
Well, that's one thing that the Catalyst guys did, at least, is they had the sculptors actually make the mechs scale correctly with each other instead of just going buck wild with it. A lot of my old lead Raupartha stuff from like the late 80s is like, like the urban mech is huge. It's just a huge mech. There's no way you would ever think that thing was, 35 tons or whatever. And they did a lot of that. And then there was the time they came out with the Timberwolf, but everybody called it the Meth Wolf because it was so skinny. So the nickname of it was the Meth Wolf. Hey, a Shylone.
That's correct.
I've got like 4 of those painted up in like different colors just in case, anybody wants to. I've used them in Alpha Strike, but not in actual Battletech. And they are brutal in Alpha Strike. Just absolutely brutal. Got that thing coming across the table, strafing or whatever.
This one is brutal.
That's a good mech. I don't think it's my favorite. That's the Blackhawk. For clan mechs, I like the Ryokan, which I think in the clan terminology is called the Stormcrow. It's correct. Like a 55 tonner. Like when I was forced to play clan mechs in like one of the video games, that was my favorite mech. It was just fast. Freaking had so many freaking lasers on it. It was just like, this thing is going to run you down and just melt you, basically. And that's what it did. I was never a huge fan of any of the clan assault or heavies. Never a fan. I like the medium, though. The medium.
The Warhawk? I think the Warhawk is good.
I think a lot about points. And like, if I'm playing Alpha Strike and we're playing 300 points, right? Your Daishi costs like 100 points. My Atlas costs like 40, which means can that Daishi kill 2 Atlases? And the answer to that is no. It can't. It can give it a shot, but nah. So whereas clan mechs are super OP in standard classic Battletech, in Alpha Strike, no. They're, because it's like the way the points are, and they're just, like I said, you can get a whole company of urban mechs. So 12 times 11.
Yeah, but those are different games because, for example, a Cicada in Alpha Strike is way more effective than a Cicada in Classic.
The problem is it still has like 1 point of armor. So if you hit it with anything, it's going to be wrecked.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're not wrong, but cicadas still suck. Whereas my Griffin, pretty good. Pretty good mech in Alpha Strike. Just bounce around and snipe. Especially since all the ranges in Alpha Strike have been increased. It's like, you got the shorter range weapons can fire like 24 inches or some shit. And some of the longer range stuff, like LRMs, is like 48-inch range. It's like, all right, pretty cool. Pretty cool. But, yeah. Yep. But my Alpha Strike Army, which is always ready to go in case my brother or something starts talking smack, is very similar to my classic Battletech armor for 300 points. It's like an Orion, a Thunderbolt, a Griffin, 4 urban mechs, and a Grasshopper, I think. Something like that, And it's all 30-25 stuff. Nothing. I am happy because one of the scout boxes I bought came with a mech called a Spectre, which apparently they introduced in 3050, but in the lore they have a 3025 version because it was actually released
in the old releases.
Yeah, it was an old mech
But then they changed the lore and
that.
decided to introduce it later.
Well, what happened is it was a prototype mech, and they were very, very rare because Comstar kept them all hid, or Kerensky had taken them all.
Lostic.
Right. So, but they are a possible thing you could play in a 30-25 game. Even though I honestly, my favorite light mech is the Firestarter. I am your Firestarter, Twisted Firestarter. Hey. Yep. Yeah. Good mech.
The Ryokan.
Yeah. Which I think they call it the Storm Crow or something.
Yeah.
And I only know this from playing like Mech Warrior 2, Jade Hawk's Revenge or whatever.
Yeah, there is a way to install to play for DOS. Oh, by the way,
my favorite Mech Warrior game was definitely the first Mercenaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that game was badass.
Yeah, it is, because it still can be run for DOS.
Yeah. You started out with like a commando and just work your way up.
And with Sergeant Deadeye Hunter, that colorful character.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've played a lot of the games Battletech. Played a lot of that. Back when their online matchmaker worked, me and Hungar would duke it out on the online matchmaker. And I think he beat me once. And I beat him like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, and on a side note, remember the novelization of the MechWarrior Destiny adventure?
Yeah.
It's complete.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know how to host it. Those are 3 PDFs.
I am painting World War II, or not World War II, World War I camouflage on this tank. People used to paint this on their helmets too. It's the like beige, brown, green, but then they would paint like black stripes around the colors. So it gives it kind of a wild look. Like here's the Lichten Craftswagen tractor thingy-mabobby.
Beautiful.
Well, now I've got to take a fine tip brush and go around the brown and the beige color with black and make a black line around it, because that's what they did.
Yeah, I remember when I used to paint model kits, but they were big.
Yeah.
And the painting was was not good. It was more like uh, ordinary hardware store painting.
I was the same way. Or
Yeah.
you would buy the tester's kit, and the brush that came with it was like
Yeah.
the black bristles, and it was all like, how are you going to do? Because if you want to do it professionally, and I learned this by watching the Japanese,
Hmm.
you have to have an airbrush.
An airplane.
Yep. That's how they like. I've seen Japanese dudes do like dioramas of like World War II shit, and like it looks real, when they show you the picture. You're like, is this from a movie or something? And then they pan in, and it's like, no, they painted this.
Mm.
They added every oil streak, every bit of dust, every bit of rust. It's like, but apparently, like model making in Japan is a big deal.
It's a big deal. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
indeed. Vintage toys are a thing right there too.
yeah, it's a big
If
deal.
yeah, if you are a collector of vintage toys, go to Japan. Well, you will need the money, obviously, but
Mm.
I don't have it. But if I was, I would go there.
And their favorite role playing game is Call of Cthulhu. It is the most popular role playing game in Japan, and the majority of Japanese players are women.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they have a completely different dynamic over there.
Yeah, it is not like My Little Pony or something.
Oh no, no, they want to solve crimes and stop the world from dying or something. I don't know. I don't know, but that is their game. Like in many parts of people in America assume that D&D is the most popular game, but in many parts of the world, no one plays D&D and really could give a shit about it. I mean, the Germans got their own game, the Dark Eye or whatever it translates to, and they love that, and it's been out since the 80s. The Swedes, of course, had invented Demons and Dragons, and Satya was saying there's some Finnish role playing game he's looking into. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of places where people are just like, nah, the American version is just not really my thing. And that makes sense if the game is much more like rooted in their, like, I mean, I own Dragons and Demons, and you can tell that that's not an American game. Even though they converted it to English and everything, you can just tell by the way it's done. It's like it's a totally different feeling to it. So I actually love it, but a lot of people don't like it for some reason. I don't know why. Because I think it's one of the best role playing games ever. And I'm also a huge fan of The One Ring. But that's probably just because I'm like super into Tolkien. So, you know, mea culpa on that. If it's Tolkien, I like it. Unless
It's
it's
good.
unless it's The Ring of Power on Netflix, in which case, if it's Tolkien, I hate it.
I tried to read the one of the Tolkien novels, and it was heavy for me.
The one to start out with, I would tell anybody this is The Hobbit.
Yeah, I was going to start The Hobbit, and it was complex to read. Yeah,
Really? The
yeah,
Hobbit is the simple one. The one that will really blow your wig back is the Silmarillion.
No, because it had lots of descriptions and basically you turn pages and pages and there are lots of descriptions of
Well, yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, so basically
yeah, that's kind of the thing he
it,
did.
it was not like a fast pace like Alpha Strike or something like that. It was more like take your time.
Well, I mean, he was a product of his time. I mean, he was a
Yeah,
college professor of linguistics,
yeah.
born in South Africa, who taught in Oxford, and
Yeah, you
he,
can
he
notice
was
and
definitely writing a British style book,
you can
And
notice
the
the
halflings
vocabulary.
were definitely like your British yeoman because
Mm.
they're always talking about, second breakfast and third breakfast and tea time. And, you know, that was kind of their deal. But the Silmarillion is like every other thing Tolkien ever wrote, but the difficulty's cranked up to like 22 because it gets into the creation of the world, the deities, the one that betrayed all the other ones, the corruption of the Balor or the Balrog and Sauron, and all kind. I mean, it just goes way, way out there.
Yeah,
But his world is technically kind of monotheistic because there's really only kind of not necessarily 100%, but kind of one true creator deity, but then he created other deities. And then those other deities did whatever they wanted to do, but of course it was all under his authority. Like a lot of people don't know that Gandalf isn't human. He's actually a lesser heavenly being. They all are. All the wizards are lesser, almost angelic type beings that were sent to Earth to kind of keep an eye on humanity. And there's you had Radagast the Brown in Mirkwood, who was obsessed with birds. And of course, Saruman the White, Gandalf the Gray. And then you had two blue wizards that had traveled to the Far East, and no one knows what even happened to them. Are they still alive? Are they still over there? I mean, are they still alive? Probably, since you can't really kill them.
it brings a smile to me when I imagine those semi-godly wizards in DCC.
They just
Combining.
vanished to the east. They're like, "Yep, we're out. Bye." But like when Gandalf got killed fighting the Balrog, he actually went back to the celestial realms and they promoted him and sent his ass back. And that's when he become Gandalf the White. And Saruman become, somebody who is very nearly close to getting his ass whipped, which did in fact happen. But but none of that's in the Silmarillion. The Silmarillion's more like creating the land and doing all this bullshit and how orcs were created and the elves. And before the sun and the moon, there were like two towers that had lamps on them, but the bad guy threw the lamps down and destroyed half the world. So, or was it the trees first and then the lamps? Either way, the bad guys were constantly being dicks. And really for no good reason, honestly. It was like, I'm going to destroy or corrupt all of creation. Why? I don't know. Just seems like thing to do,
Just
I guess. Huh?
Just because.
Just cause, yeah, like It's like none of what you're doing makes sense. You know, like stop it, just chill out. But in the end, he gets defeated because, bad guys lose. And his chief lieutenant, whose name started with a G at the time, like Gomril or something, got away. So everybody thought everything was awesome, but his chief lieutenant turned out to be Sauron. And of course, Sauron just picked up where his master, who had been cast into the outer void, where he left off, Sauron just picked up the ball, and kept going with it. Like there's stuff in Middle Earth most people don't know, like vampires. There are vampires in Middle Earth and werewolves.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I need.
The evil wargs that the goblins ride, they're not actually related to wolves. Even though, unlike the TV or the movies, they don't look like wolves, they look like hyenas. In the book, they look just like wolves, but they're actually related to a demon. But the problem is, the more they breed in with like natural wolves, the less demonic they are, the more like wolves they become. So, like Shelob is the daughter of a giant demonic entity that, when it was summoned to Middle Earth, took the form of a spider, and its name was Ungoliant. And Shelob left a lot of children in Mirkwood, and the problem is, with each generation of the children of Shelob in Mirkwood, they become less and less, demonic spider and more just big spider. And so eventually they just aren't even a thing anymore,
It is like for spiders. I have this to rescue them, so that when I see a spider, I trap it here and I bring it out, because
Yep.
outside there will be more food and they do not have anything to do at home.
We were talking about spiders before you showed up and how I like them.
Yeah, because normally they are portrayed in a very negative light, but for me, they are cleaners.
Mm-hmm.
They clean bugs, and there is another one that is a cleaner too, the dragonfly.
Well, yeah.
They eat the mosquitoes. So
Yep.
when you have mosquitoes, bring some dragonflies, and they will clean the neighborhood.
Well, I mean, up here, I don't know if you got them down there, but we've got jumping spiders, and they're
Yes.
like hairy and they're little. At most, they might get an inch long, and that's like only a couple types of them.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen like Lucas the spider, the little animated thing with the cute spider
I think so.
with the big eyes? That's what they actually look like, pretty much.
Okay.
And if you like see one on a leaf, you put your hand and and it'll get on your hand and look at you, and like it'll be nervous at first, but if you just like chill out and let it look around, it'll calm right down, and next thing you know, the thing's like practically tame.
Yeah, this is my cage for those.
Yeah. There are some people who actually keep jumping spiders as pets
Wow.
because, you can keep them in a very small terrarium and just drop in some little insect every now and then.
Yeah.
And they come in all kinds of different, like, there's a kind down here in Florida that, I kid you not, its fur looks like what a red fox looks like. And their eyes are like metallic green. So they're very pretty. And then there's some of them that are like, their fur will be like white and black striped or whatever, and they're super non-aggressive. And even if they did bite you, it wouldn't matter. They ain't got big enough fangs to
Hmm.
actually go through your skin, probably, because but they're just not really aggressive at all towards humans, because
Mhm.
I mean, we're not something they can eat.
Yeah.
But they will eat pretty much any insect. So if you're a fly or something, you don't want to go near them because they are going to tear it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for flies, there is one of those the things that look like a tennis thing, electric.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I prefer the 8 leg solution, and so I bring them out, and outside they eat those before they enter the house. So it is like a symbiosis.
Yeah.
Symbiosis. Yeah.
The thing you're talking about, the electrical thing,
Yeah.
in Florida, people use those for mosquitoes.
For mosquitoes.
So they're not actually ever really turned on during the day.
Mm-hmm.
They turn them on at night.
Interesting.
And then, you can be sitting out on the porch listening to, like, you'll be sitting there and you're like, zap,
Yeah.
It's
This
like,
is
okay. I mean, a lot of people, because down here, mosquitoes are the threat.
yeah. So bring some dragonflies.
Right.
Bring
We have dragonflies, and some of them can get freaking ridiculously huge.
yeah.
We're talking like wingspans like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah,
But
yeah. So bring more. Bring more because they eat mosquitoes.
mhm.
So it means that you do not have enough dragonflies.
we,
It is just like here. Here, the neighbors have a deal with cats. They feed the cats, they pay the veterinary expenses, and there are no rodents in the neighborhood. Not at all. Not one.
because the cats can take care of the rodents,
Yeah, and they feed the cats, but yet the cats are going to hunt because this is their instinct.
because that's
So
what cats do.
this is what they do. Yeah. So this is like the deal with cats here in the neighborhood.
We actually lost a horse due to mosquitoes.
Oh,
It the mosquito bit the horse, and the horse contracted
a
West
disease.
Nile disease,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and
Sorry
it
to hear
it
that.
killed her. I mean, we walked outside and she was laying on the ground, and that's never good.
Mm,
So when I walked up to her, she was still alive, and we kept trying to get her to stand up, because if you can get a horse to stand up, that's good.
yeah.
And she just couldn't. So we called the vet, and we had a local vet that would come and check our horses, and the vet was like, yeah, she's
She's
got
in bad
West
shape.
Nile, and there is nothing you can do about it.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, she was a good horse, a good little mare,
Oh, I'm sorry.
but luckily it only got her. It didn't get the other three. So
Well, one more reason to get rid of mosquitoes.
yeah, right. It's like, I think I was listening to some scientists saying that we could wipe mosquitoes out and it would have no effect on, like, our planet, because they don't actually do anything. They just exist to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically you need more dragonflies. Bring so many dragonflies so that they become under control.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, the
but
state of Florida is always trying to come up with some way to deal with mosquitoes. That's how we ended up with love bugs. Because the idea of the love bug was it would mate with the mosquito, but be unable to produce viable offspring. So after so many generations, the mosquitoes would just die out. But instead, we ended up with a period where every summer your entire car would just be covered in splatted love bugs
Ugh.
because it didn't work,
Yeah,
you know.
the
So,
solutions are more dangerous than the problem.
yeah, that was, I think, a Florida State University issue there, maybe. And then, yeah,
Dragonflies are predators. Bring the
oh,
predators.
yeah, they are too.
Yeah, so they eat mosquitoes. So bring the predators. They will eat the mosquitoes.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, but the state of Florida, in its infinite knowledge,
Mm.
then decided the way to go was to send trucks out every evening spraying pesticide into the air
Ah,
to
that's
kill
because
the
of
mosquitoes.
it's the
But,
business.
it killed everything else too.
It is the business because dragonflies are not profitable.
Right. So
Yeah. It is not infinite wisdom, it is profit.
sometimes I wonder, like, if the stuff they were spraying, like, if it made people sick or not.
I
Like,
think so. If it is poison,
yeah, if it kills mosquitoes, it's probably not good for anything. But they would have these like pickup trucks with like a tank and a pump and a sprayer assembly thing, and they would drive up and down every street spraying this mist into the air.
yeah.
And when we were kids, we didn't know better, so the mosquito truck would come, and we wouldn't go in the house and hide or anything. We just keep playing, and it'd drive by.
Well, at least it's
Now,
not poisonous enough to kill those kids, right?
right? I'm like
Yes.
Captain the Dread Pirate Roberts. I've developed an immunity to whatever that poison was.
Yeah.
But
You have a modifier on poison.
yeah, bonus to poison saves, right? And
Yeah.
it's like whereas I don't even remember mosquitoes in Kentucky. Now I do remember them in Alaska, boy. In Alaska, if you went camping out during the spring when the mosquitoes were out, you could be in your camping bag in your tent and hear them bastards on the outside of it. They were, I mean, there's a joke. I used to have a t-shirt that had a picture of a mosquito and said Alaska state bird because they get that big
Wow.
in Alaska. But a lot of people don't know that a good portion of Alaska is swamp. So when it's not frozen, the spring comes and it thaws out. It's just all marshes and swamps. And,
Wow.
then you get
Again, lack
mosquitoes.
lack of dragonflies.
They can't live there.
No?
No.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yep.
Well,
Whereas like the
you could have
mosquitoes, they can actually live there.
you could have a lot of fun with zappers, right? Zap, zap, zap. Those are tennis things. Hunting them in the air. Zap, zap.
Yep, those zappers, man, were a thing. But in Alaska, we didn't have them.
Yeah, well.
You just dealt with it.
Oh, by the way, did you read the post that I wrote about Santa?
Yes.
What do you think? I thought that it would bring some humor to the post.
That's good. Because, you know, Now, the one guy that I responded to, Glass Spare, after
Uh-huh.
I responded to him, he made another response and he was totally rational and not being a jerk. You know what I mean? Because like I told him in the video, it's like I like the game too. But just because I like a game doesn't mean I'm not going to criticize things
Hmm.
that I don't like. So you don't have to run in here like you got to protect the game from me because I actually like the game too. But if they're going to F around with the lore too much, I'll just have my own lore. You know, I really wish somebody would make a role playing game for it. That would be really cool to play like a trench pilgrim fighting the forces of hell in like Antioch or Constantinople or wherever, you
Hmm.
know. It would basically wouldn't be much different than Mutant Chronicles, really. If you wanted to make it really deadly, you could just use that setting, but use the uh, free league version of Twilight 2000 because that game is deadly. And it would be like, okay, how are we all going to die today? Let's figure it out. Disease, trench foot, maybe a demon's going to stab somebody through the face. I mean, it's just going to be like that because that is just how it be some days, you know?
Yeah, I am still reading the DCC rules for monsters,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
need to summarize the data to basically have what I need for for the adventure. In case I need to bring some monsters or something, I don't know. Unless it has its monsters in the adventure, I don't know. No, I haven't read it because I do not want to spoil the experience until I read it and then start. Working on it and playing it. So basically,
Well, most DCC adventures will have monsters,
yeah. But
and
they are in the adventure, or
they'll
are
be
they
pre like they'll be
pre-established?
like, check this out. This is the monster. This is what it
Mm,
does.
okay,
You know, stuff like that. This is
okay,
the damage.
okay, perfect.
So yeah, you won't have to worry about. And plus the DCC, like just the whole system is so it's just so like kind of simple and easy. So when I was talking about that World War I paint job, this is actually what I was talking about.
Oh, look at this. Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, even though this really would be a French paint job, not a German paint job. The Germans in World War II basically just painted their shit gray and sent it out there.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of like
will.
the British would throw slap like a coat of green on it and just chuck it out there.
Yeah, I used to paint camouflage differently because remember that I had airplanes.
Oh yeah,
And basically I painted the only ones that I camouflage was the RAF Spitfire. The other one was the smaller one. What was the name?
hurricane.
Hurricane. Yeah, the Hawker Hurricane.
Yeah, the
And
hurricane.
also with the sea camouflage, it was the Swordfish. That the one that
Yeah, a lot of American airplanes would paint the bottom of the plane like sky blue, and then the top
yeah,
would just be green.
yeah.
You know, that was just kind of a thing. But I don't know if they still do that. It's been a while since I've looked up a picture of like a modern American jet fighter or anything. So
Oh, here it is. The first adventure.
yeah, I love that adventure. Yeah, the
And this
the
one,
whatever of the sunless sea or whatever.
frozen in time.
Oh, that's cool. Got a robot on it. What's going on
Yeah.
there?
I don't know. I haven't read it. I do not want to spoil the story. I will be doing something when I read the rules and start working on the funnel. Let's
Well,
see what happens.
DCC one thing about DCC is that it is like super kind of anything goes. So yeah, you can go into an ancient tomb and get attacked by a robot. That is a thing. That could happen. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen. It could, because it's a lot more like what Venger Satanis called, like Gonzo D&D. Like, because like in Venger Satanis's role-playing game, he literally had like humanoid creatures made out of fruit that you could interact with or maybe fight with or whatever. So you could get into a fight with the banana men and the strawberry men, and because it was kind of like, it's D&D and you can get stabbed in the neck and killed, but it's at the same time it's kind of silly, it's like a lot of silly shit going on, because there are people out there who think that is the height of fun.
Yeah.
Just silly shit.
Yeah.
And DCC is not quite the fuchsia malaise or whatever, but it is close when it comes to like just the idea of just gonzo kind of weird stuff going on. Now it doesn't have to be, but it is definitely in that neighborhood, because the people who made it were, for the most part, all huge fans of Gary Gygax. And Gary Gygax, for whatever reason, the beloved creator of AD&D, he was not above throwing androids and robots and crazy ass shit in dungeons, because I don't know why. Like the setting he invented, Greyhawk, even though it's a medieval fantasy setting, it takes place in the far, far future. And it's North America. It's just so blown up that you can't tell. And then they talk about the myth of at one time there were two great empires and they went to war and they unleashed the colorless flame on each other. And, and that's why all the land, west of wherever is like just desert and crappy and, like, yeah, that's kind of Gygax's kind of gig, That was the kind of stuff he liked, almost D&D, but almost post-apocalyptic, really, And some people really love that, and as a result, Gygax created the adventure S3, I think, which was the expedition to Barrier Peak. And the dungeon in the expedition to Barrier Peak is a starship that crashed in the mountains. And the people all died or fled and integrated in with the locals. But like all the robots and mutants and crazy shit, because apparently this ship had been a ship that was out and about gathering up specimens. They're all on the ship still, right? And if your characters play their cards right, they can end up leaving that adventure with like laser cannons and needler pistols and just all kinds of high-tech stuff, Or they can end up getting ate by a mutant frog. That is another possibility. That could very strongly happen.
Are there guns in DCC?
What's that?
Are there guns in DCC, for example, to make a Star Wars adventure in DCC or something?
Oh, there absolutely could be. Yeah.
Yeah, because that would be fun.
And there's another
lasers.
game out there called Mutant Crawl Chronicles, but they may have renamed it.
Mm-hmm.
And it uses the exact same rules as DCC,
Mutant
but it takes place after
classics.
like World War III.
Yeah, it is like Conan the Barbarian or No, it is like Thunder.
Yeah,
Thunder the Barbarian.
it's like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they also, I don't know if you've ever read any of the Fafhrd and Lankmar books, the Lankmar series,
No, I
but
haven't.
they
What
have a whole line of adventures based around.
what is contained there? Because I understand that it is not just an adventure. It is some lore or something. Or I'm not sure
If you
what it
buy the
contains.
big box set,
Yeah,
it gives you the whole setting
the whole setting. So only the setting, not the adventures
and adventures. And then
and
there's 10
adventures.
additional adventures.
Mm,
But it introduces the gods of Lankmar and the city of Lankmar, uh, and all the different cultures and everything like that, and it, like, if you want an adventure that's set 99% inside of a city, then Lankmar is the place to be. And Lankmar is a huge city. I mean, truly a massive city. And everyone in Lankmar, for the most part, is corrupt as hell. So,
hmm.
and of course, the characters from the books, one of them is a skinny little, he was a mage's apprentice, but then now he's a thief. And the other one is a giant barbarian who fled the northern tribe because he didn't want to get married to the woman they picked out for him. And this unlikely pair end up becoming like best friends and just spend all their time trying to rob everyone. Temples and stuff mostly, but and they go through things, like there's one story where like Fafhrd, the barbarian finds religion, and it causes a lot of issues for Mouser because he misses his partner and
Hmm.
and all that. I mean, the wall of Battletech. Yeah, he's definitely got the wall of Battletech back there, don't he?
Yeah.
He's definitely going to be able to field whatever mechs he wants to field in a
Yeah.
battle.
George knows.
Yeah. See, I've got the drawer of Battletech right. Is it here?
Yeah, I prefer to have the boxes. It takes more space, but looks. Oh wow! Awesome. No, no, awesome. Not catapult. Awesome catapult.
That is a House Lau catapult. Even though a lot of Lao units would actually be painted camouflage. But if they're from like certain places, they paint them green. It just really depends.
Yeah, George, a man of culture. He knows.
A man of culture, exactly.
He knows.
He
He
is.
knows.
Like, I remember one time me and Max were talking, which I haven't heard from him in forever. I hope he's okay. But and he's like, the one thing I hate is when people show up and their mechs are just painted plain black. And I'm like, you're not going to like the 7th Merrick Militia then, because guess what?
They are
They
black.
paint all their mechs just straight black.
Hmm.
That's it. So the only thing that could count as like a different color on the mech would be the cockpit, because otherwise they're just black. Okay, I think I need.
By the way, did you play Mech Commander?
I never played Mech Commander. I know
What?
of it though.
What? Okay,
No.
let me bring a post from Reddit that
Mech
has the
Commander was the one where you controlled like the
Mech
company and it
Commander.
was like top down, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I never really.
Let me see.
I played Mercenaries. I played Crescent Hawk's Revenge. That was a long time ago, though, like on a Tandy. And then I played
Okay, sharing in the chat the link to the Reddit. There you can play the old MechWarrior games. Let me
Okay.
see. Let me see if YouTube bans, and we'll try to post that in the chat too. For I don't know if it is going to appear or not because YouTube used to ban Reddit links. No, it
Well, I
didn't
mean,
appear.
Reddit is like the worst place on earth.
Yeah, but some posts are good.
Yeah.
So, and the good thing is that I post neutral things. So basically, I do not have any
Yeah, you don't catch
controversy.
the attention of any of the
No,
maniacs.
no, I don't. I don't need to because uh, this is the Turkina one clan mech
Oh, I know the
that, that
Turkina.
is that is there in the. It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a chicken mech.
This one, yeah.
Yep. I like the chicken mechs. They're my favorite, like the Uziel.
Cauldron Born.
Yep. See, for my side, we've got Marauder and Marauder 2 and the Night Star,
Oh,
which I think
Marauder.
is 100 ton or maybe 90.
Mm, Marauder 2C.
Yep. The 2C, good looking mech.
Yeah, good looking, beautiful.
Yep. That's a good looking mech.
Yeah,
The 2C.
and this one,
Oh, the Behemoth
the
or
behemoth.
Stone
Yes,
Rhino.
Storm Rhino. Yes,
Yeah, that
sniper.
thing. I mean, if it hits you, you're in trouble. But
Yeah.
its movement is like 1-2 or some shit. Like that thing's just basically a pillbox. Just put it on the table and hope somebody gets near it.
Hunchback.
Oh yeah, the 2C hunchback. Because anything the inner sphere can do, the clan can just do much better.
Yeah.
That's just the rule, I mean, they've been living on 3 blasted planets, but somehow they just
Yeah, in the novelization of the adventure, I wrote a cameo of Joanna Horse, and Diana.
yeah.
So basically, you will have them arguing like they used to, and it's funny to funny to read. I think.
Yeah, those guys are just, I don't know. I have nothing good to say about the clan.
Yeah, but those people, those three, because Joanna is the only one clanner, and the other two are freebirds. So the cameos that you can see there, because it is interesting because there is some sort of exchange between sarcasm and arrogance in the other side. So basically, that combination is very hilarious, I would say.
Which would you rather have?
For yeah.
I know we did Italian
Hold
yesterday.
on. I will talk to you in just 1 second.
Okay.
All right, Jose, I got to take off. My wife is hungry.
Okay.
But
Nice to
I
talk
will
to you.
chat with you later.
Yeah.
And yeah, your wall of Baltec is getting impressive.
Yeah, but it is only for the boxes. It is not for the amount of mechs. You have more mechs than me, definitely.
Well, I mean, I've been collecting since '86. So.
Yeah. So yeah, but I have the boxes. The boxes are more like bulky.
Yeah.
And, because few
At least
mechs.
they're not Funko Pops.
Yeah.
Anyway. But I'll catch you guys later. Peace and love.
Okay. See ya.